All right, so we're back and ready for another deep dive. You ready?
Always ready to dive in.
Awesome. So this week, we're going to be looking at, well, it was kind of the match of the weekend, right? Liverpool against Bournemouth.
Yeah, tough match.
At the Vitality Stadium. And we've got two articles here that sort of detail what went down. Now, this wasn't just your average, top team versus bottom team matchup, was it?
Not at all, no. I mean, Bournemouth, they'd already taken down some big names, right? Arsenal, Manchester City, even Nottingham Forest at their home ground. So they're definitely, looking to cause another upset.
Exactly. Yeah. Like you almost wondered going in, could they pull off another one?
Yeah.
Against, well, the league leaders at this point, right?
Right. And it's not like those wins were just flukes either. I mean, the way they play, that high-pressing, counter-attacking style, it really seemed to disrupt the rhythm of those bigger teams, the ones that like to keep possession.
Yeah. So I was glued to the screen for sure. Especially, I mean, this Premier League season has been so unpredictable, right?
For sure.
And, well, speaking of unpredictable, Mohamed Salah, am I right?
Oh, yeah.
2 goals in this one. A 2-0 victory for Liverpool. And let me tell you, these weren't just, your run-of-the-mill goals either.
No, not at all. So the first one, a penalty, right? After a foul on Gakpo.
Oh, yeah, Gakpo.
The new signing. Seems to be fitting in pretty well so far, but the second goal, that was pure Salah magic,
Oh, tell me about it.
It wasn't just a tap-in or anything, it was classic Salah cutting in from the right, that close control to get past the defenders.
Yeah.
And then, boom, that left foot, unstoppable. We've seen it so many times, but it never gets old.
It's like watching a magician do the same trick, but you still can't figure out how they do it.
Exactly.
And what makes it even more impressive? That goal. It wasn't just about the win, right?
Yeah.
It also moved Salah up the all-time Premier League scoring charts. He's now 6th, passing Frank Lampard.
Yeah.
178 goals.
Amazing, isn't it?
Crazy.
And, while we're talking about all this, there was actually another big moment in this match. Remember how we were talking about Bournemouth's, giant killing potential?
Oh, yeah.
Well, they almost did it again. Justin Kluivert, he had a clear shot at goal, a chance to even the scores, but he missed wide.
Can you imagine?
And to make things worse, just moments later, Salah scored his second. Game over.
Oh, man, talk about a turning point. It really makes you think, what if Kluivert had scored there? Would things have been different?
It's tough to say for sure, but it definitely shows how important those little moments can be, Especially against a team like Liverpool, they punish every mistake.
Oh, absolutely. So after a match like that, I bet everyone was dying to hear what Liverpool's manager Arne Slot had to say, especially with that big Carabao Cup semifinal against Tottenham coming up.
Yeah, well, as you might expect, Slot was full of praise for Salah, called him a world-class talent, said he continues to amaze everyone. And, he also talked about the team's resilience, how they handled that early pressure from Bournemouth.
Yeah, that was intense.
But there was a bit of a shadow over everything, because Trent Alexander-Arnold got injured.
Oh, no. Is he going to be all right?
Well, it's not looking good for the semifinal, that's for sure. And that's a big loss for Liverpool.
Oh, yeah. Massive. He's so important to their attack. I mean, even missing one match, it changes everything.
Absolutely.
So I guess the big question now is, well, where does this all leave Liverpool in the bigger picture? Like, what about the league table?
Well, they're sitting pretty at the top, that's for sure. 56 points. 9 points clear of both Arsenal and Nottingham Forest, and those two are tied for second.
9 points, that's a lot.
It is. It really makes you wonder, is the title race already over? I mean, they've been so dominant.
That's the question, isn't it? They've barely dropped any points lately. But, I mean, we can't forget about, well, there's a big match coming up that could really shake things up. We were just talking about that 9-point gap at the top, right? And you can't really ignore, I mean, Arsenal will have a big match coming up, right? Against Manchester City.
Oh, yeah. Huge match.
And City, I mean, they're down there in 4th place, but only 6 points behind Liverpool. So it's not just about bragging rights here, is it?
No, not at all. I mean, if Arsenal win, they not only close the gap with Liverpool, but they also kind of, knock down one of their biggest rivals.
Right.
But if City wins, well, they stay in the race, and Arsenal, their title hopes might be in trouble.
Yeah, it's a real make or break kind of match for them, isn't it?
Definitely.
But even with that coming up, you can't deny, I mean, Liverpool have been so dominant lately. It's not just winning. It's like they're steamrolling everyone.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. And to think they had a bit of a shaky start this season, right? Remember those early losses?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's like they flipped a switch, They just found another gear. But this is the Premier League, right? It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Oh, yeah. Lots of football left to play.
Exactly. Anything can happen.
And a lot can happen. Remember what happened to Arsenal last season? They were looking good, but then, they stumbled.
Oh, yeah. They completely fell apart.
In the final stretch.
It shows you can't predict anything in this league.
Right. And let's not count out the other contenders either.
Yeah.
Nottingham Forest, right? They're tied for second with Arsenal.
Right. They've been a surprise this season, haven't they?
Total surprise package. But they've shown they've got, real grit.
Yeah, a lot of heart. And then you have Man City always lurking, waiting for someone to slip up.
And they've got that knack for peaking at the right time, don't they?
Oh, yeah. They're like a diesel engine. They just keep going.
They come on strong at the end, So even if it looks like a 2-horse race now, who knows? It could be a 4-way battle by the end. And that's what makes the Premier League so great, right? It's the unpredictability.
You never know what's going to happen next.
You never know. And hey, while we're at it, we can't forget about Bournemouth, right?
No, they're definitely a team to watch.
They might not be title contenders, but they've shown they can really shake things up. Those wins against Arsenal, City, Forest,
yeah,
those were no flukes.
They've got a system, and it works.
They've figured out the code, right? How to beat these top teams. And even in this loss to Liverpool, they had their moments, almost scored that goal.
Yeah, they were right there.
What makes them so dangerous, I think, is that they're not afraid to, change things up, adapt to their opponent.
Yeah, they're tactically flexible.
And they can absorb all that pressure and then boom.
Yeah.
Hit you with the counterattack.
Exactly. It's a good lesson for other teams, especially the ones struggling against the top sides.
Right? Hey, look at what Bournemouth's doing. Maybe there's something to learn there. And that's what makes this league so interesting, right? It's not always about, who has the most money or the best players.
No, it's about who shows up on the day.
It's about who's got the best plan, who can execute, who can take those big moments. And that brings us back to, we talked about Salah, but there's another guy on Liverpool, Cody Gakpo.
The new guy.
The new guy, exactly. He didn't score in this match, but he won that penalty, right? The one that led to the first goal. What have you made of him so far?
Well, it's still early, but he's shown some real flashes of brilliance.
Yeah, he's got
that versatility, can play anywhere across the front line. And he seems to have settled in pretty quickly.
Yeah, he's got good movement off the ball. He's not afraid to run. He can pick out a pass.
And the way he's linking up with Salah already, that's promising. That penalty incident, that was textbook,
Total teamwork.
Salah draws the defenders in. Gakpo makes that run beautiful.
And that's what makes Liverpool so tough to beat, right? They've got all these different attacking options. It's a nightmare for defenses.
Absolutely.
But even with all that, they can't get complacent. 9 points is a lot, but things can change quickly in this league.
Oh, yeah. One bad week, and suddenly...
It's a whole new ball game.
And they've got to figure out how to deal with Alexander-Arnold's injury, right? That semifinal against Tottenham, that's a big one.
Huge. And losing a player like him, it could be a real problem.
Definitely a test for their squad depth. Be interesting to see how Slot approaches it,
What's the plan going to be? But before we get into all that, I want to shift gears a bit, We've talked tactics, we've talked players, but there's another side to all this, right? The mental game. Yeah, the mental side of it all, right? Can you imagine the pressure these guys are under? So much at stake.
Oh, absolutely. The mental game is huge, right? Just as important as the physical side, especially at this level. And for Liverpool, it's all about staying focused. Not getting complacent, not letting that 9-point lead get to their heads.
Yeah, they're carrying this huge target on their backs.
Right, and everyone wants to take them down. Every match is going to be a fight.
Totally. And for the other teams, the ones chasing, it must be hard, right? They got to believe they can still catch Liverpool. Hope for a slip-up or two.
Yeah, and string together some wins of their own. It's a real mental battle, isn't it?
It's like a whole other game, Just imagine being in that Arsenal locker room right now. You're in second place, but it's like a distant second.
And then you've got that City match coming up. Talk about pressure. Yeah. Win, and maybe you're back in it. Lose, and
well, who knows?
It could be all over. And what about, for a guy like Salah? He's already a legend, right? But he just keeps going, pushing himself further.
It's amazing, isn't it? That drive. Doesn't rest on his laurels, always wants more. And that kind of attitude, it can spread, right? Like to his teammates.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It lifts everyone up. And hey, while we're talking about teams, I keep thinking about Bournemouth, what they've done this season, taking points off those big guns.
They've been giant killers for sure.
It's more than just that, though. It shows you what resilience can do. Tactical discipline, and just believing in yourself.
It's like they've proven that even in a league like this, with all the money and the big names,
it's not just about that.
A well-organized team with a good coach,
they can still compete. And that's what makes this whole season so interesting, right? You never know what's going to happen.
It keeps you guessing, for sure. And I think that's a good place to wrap things up, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think so. We've covered a lot, haven't we?
Tactics, players, the mental side of it all, even the impact of a team like Bournemouth.
And it just shows you the Premier League, it never stops evolving, Always throws you a curveball.
It's a mix of like athleticism, strategy, and just pure drama, right?
And the more you watch, the more you see, the more layers there are.
It's those details, those little things that most people miss. That's where the real beauty is.
Absolutely.
So as we head into the second half of the season, don't just look at the headlines. Look deeper.
Look for the stories behind the stories.
Because in the end, that's what it's all about, right? Those moments of brilliance, of resilience. Yeah. That's what makes this game so special.
Couldn't agree more.
All right, well, that's all the time we have for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.